The Community Hub Corporation has launched its eWaste awareness initiative, branded eCycle, toward alerting the national and regional population to the issue of electronic waste.
I'm not sure what is eWaste, but I think it is products like from computers, cell phones, digital cameras and stuff like that.
Basically, to my knowledge, electronic waste would be waste that comes from electronic parts or electronic products that are no longer viable for use by the regular consumer.
Well, eWaste deals with disposal of probably electronic stuff, I would assume.
eWaste is a popular informal name for electronic products nearing the end of its useful life. But you could add that it also includes those that ended their useful life.
Traditionally, we only thought about e-waste as computing, but e-waste goes further than just computing. It includes digital equipment like watches, like cell phones, certain types of switchgear that you would use in telecommunications.
Normally people would throw out batteries without even a thought. It is part of the e-waste system, and now that you have things like cadmium batteries and those types of batteries, you have a problem with that.
E-waste, also known as electronic waste, is a term used for electronic products that have become unwanted and have reached the end of their useful life. Example, old TVs, monitors, computers, PDAs, anything that has electronic components in them.
E-waste is now becoming a problem in our society with respect to the recycling probably and the proper disposal of old computers and old electronic equipment that we have used both domestically and commercially in Trinidad and Tobago.
It gets into our water streams, it gets into our food chain, it gets into our systems just by dumping these things.
Electronic discard is one of the fastest growing segments in our nation's waste system.
E-waste has become a very major problem for Trinidad and Tobago and small island developing states, which is SIDS, because their waste streams are not suited to the disposal of that type of waste. Technology has outstripped the abilities of many of the smaller countries of the world to deal with e-waste.
In Trinidad and Tobago, we have an average of about 2 to 3 handsets per person. At some point in time, the obsolescence will also set in with those handsets. And what do we do with it? What do you do with it?
What are some of the chemicals secreted from e-waste?
The three basic, most toxic heavy metals that you can find would be mercury, aluminum, and cadmium.
You have a lot of heavy metals, things like lead, cadmium, flame retardants, plastics, and when you process these things, they create something called dioxins, which is harmful to human health and the environment. So it can impact on your natural resources. It can impact on production workers. It can impact on residential areas near to the landfill site, because these heavy metals leach out and they may affect your water courses or your water supply.
Simple ways of finding out how it affects you. You start getting memory loss. For instance, you walk into a room and you say, what I came in here for, and then after 5 minutes, you say, okay, now I remember. They have what you call neuron receptors in the brain that send messages back and forth. And the heavy metals, they go into the past the blood-brain barrier. There's a barrier that is protective of the brain, but they are able to because they're so microscopic in particle, they can get into the brain sides, into the brain, and they stop the impulses or electrical impulses.
Do you think that the public should be sensitized on the harmful effects of e-waste?
There's public education that's needed, and I think we will mount up public education in this ministry, maybe through iGov or others, because I think people need to be very much aware that if they just dump a computer or something, there are certain chemicals that could be very hazardous to our health.
Under the new Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, we are going to be embarking upon an awareness and education campaign where we are going to inform our citizenry with respect to how of properly disposing and recycling of e-waste materials.
Would you suggest legislation be put in place for the discarding of e-waste?
The existing legislation such as the Environmental Management Act, that's one you need to note, the Litter Act, and the Draft Waste Management Rules should be strengthened to accommodate specific requirements for the management of e-waste.
I believe that proper, especially environmental legislation, will take us forward as a nation. Again, it's one of the purposes of the new Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. So we're going to be embarking upon a lot of environmental legislation that would seek to control and regulate, especially with waste disposal.
Certainly, until there is proper legislation that mandates the proper disposal of units, then disposal of e-waste will not be always done in the most responsible manner because there is a cost there.
We don't want just our overall environmental e-waste legislation. We want specific and particular legislation and rules for e-waste.
We are actually part of 3 international conventions, the Basel, the Rotterdam, and the Stockholm conventions.
The Basel Convention is really working in the direction of getting those who can best deal with the waste to deal with that type of waste.
The convention is trying to do, through its PACE working group, is develop the right standards and the right technologies that would apply to that kind of waste stream recycling.
Would you say that manufacturers can help in reducing e-waste?
As part of our HSE program, Health, Safety and Environment program, we are very careful in disposal of much of our waste. Certainly things like batteries, for example, that's one example. Batteries are stored and then they're delivered to companies that are experts, so to speak, in the disposal of e-waste and other items.
With the new generation of laptops that are coming in, we are hoping that we could engage in more than 1-year warranty so that after that 1 year, there will be some guarantee service to maintain the laptops even for a longer period of life.
There are companies that specialize in disposal of units of electronic waste, and we do have contracts with companies like that, and we would pass them over to those companies and they would then take care of it.
The e-waste materials can be collected and proper procedures put in place for the recycling of that. It could be something that the young people think about.
One of the things that we've been trying to do at the Hub is to come up with a community capacity to dismantle the items in the first instance and then ship them off to more competent recyclers in the different areas.
We are influencing the younger generations by contributing to e-waste. For example, placing an old refrigerator off the side of the road. Come on people, this is time to act now. Do not contribute to the improper disposal of e-waste. This is not the world we want to leave behind.
Excuse me, ma'am, you want to do this wrong? There's a way of disposing your e-waste across there instead of up here.
I first want to commend the Community Hub project and the Bishop Centenary Girls for really embarking upon this. You have been going out of your way as students to ensure that this is a well-run activity, and I want to commend you all this morning for that.
I'm very happy that this initiative has come to Bishop Centenary College, and I'm really very pleased with the performance of the girls.
The future of Trinidad and Tobago is in your hands.